Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Afternoons with the Ambassador. And as always, I'm your host, the Ambassador. It is great to see all of you here. And to the chat, Mountains of Elysium, Brian Hill, Master of None, Mladen Kulik, gentlemen, and hopefully some ladies will come in here pretty soon, so this won't be a sausage fest. It is so wonderful to see all of you. And today I've got with me an old friend of the community, but hasn't been here for a while. Alicia Victoria Parker. Madam, it is a pleasure to have you on the Afternoons with the Ambassador. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much. And thank you. I'm so excited about this topic because this is a huge, huge love of mine. I absolutely adore this topic. I can't wait to start discussing it. It's so exciting.
Yeah. But, and also to the chat, Positive Candor and 4TM Barber, gentlemen, good afternoon. Pleasure to see you as well. Yeah, some of you are thinking, Ambassador, have you taken leave of your good sense? You hit 300 and you're covering Shakespeare? Have you gone mad? No, I have not gone mad. I am still quite sane, unlike. I will quote the protagonist of this play. I am not mad in mind, only in craft. But yeah, folks, you're probably thinking to yourselves, how in the world is Hamlet part of pop culture? Well, believe it or not, in the 90s, we did have a resurgence of interest in Shakespeare. And we had several very good film adaptations of some of his better works.
Yes.
Including this beauty, which we're going to be discussing today. Kenneth Branagh's Hamlet, which had, I think, one of the best adaptations, one of the best casts, one of the best film productions of all time, to be perfectly honest. Now, this is one that I did read in high school and that I did study in college. And I will say with no small matter of pride, I did get the opportunity to take part in a stage production of one of Shakespeare's plays. Actually, his very last play, The Tempest, where I played the character of Caliban, and I actually got very high praise from one of our literature teachers. She told me, she's like, you did a very good job playing Caliban. She was like, he is not an easy character to play. So to get high praise from a professor of English, when I say English, I mean British literature, that's my Oscar. I was like, I feel so happy. And also to the chat, Delciso Bruno, good afternoon, ma'am. Good to see you as well. But yeah, today, folks, we're going to take a break from the normal pop culture. We're going to enjoy a little high culture. So
a little sophisticated, shall we say?
Yeah, just a little more sophisticated. Also to the chat, Nobody Geeks Talk, Jesse, my good friend, good to see you. Glad you're here as well. Hope you enjoy. I hope you all enjoy our discussion. So, but yeah, honestly, for me, Shakespeare has been a long time passion. Has been an interest the majority of my teen life and even into my adult years and everything. And anytime I have an opportunity to be exposed to a great performance of Shakespeare, I'm going to take it. And honestly, for me, the first time I saw this, granted, this is on DVD. We didn't have DVD when I was in high school. All we had was VHS. But, and Mladen. Okay, I'll bring this up. I'll bring his comment up. I'm familiar with the play. I never watched Branagh's version. I did watch Mel Gibson's. Then, sir, you were robbed.
Exactly.
You were heinously robbed.
Yes. Because the thing is, if you see this one, it's almost like you're seeing the actual play that you would have seen back in the early 1600s that Shakespeare had written. You would absolutely adore this one. If you ever get to see it, watch it. Please make sure you guys watch it.
Yeah, and I'll bring this up because this is Nobody Geek Talks. I'm actually on his channel. Apparently, Jesse? Are we just going to postpone it? If you want to do it later in the week, we could probably do it later in the week because I'll be free. If you're wanting to do just DM me and everything on Twitter. Let me know, because I'll be free later on this week and everything. And I think most everybody else would as well. So because I want to cover that topic, I really do. So, but anyway, back on track. Mladen, I'm going to say to you, my friend, the Mel Gibson one, it sucks. Period. Full stop. It is not a faithful adaptation in any degree.
No.
You were robbed. You were lied to. That is not Hamlet. This is Hamlet.
That's the Hamlet that you need to see. This is the Hamlet
you need to see, Mladen. I'm not joking. Hey, it's me. You trust this face.
And I love this one. I absolutely
I saw it in
college. I saw it in college because honestly, my teacher said if there's any Hamlet you need to see, because she could not get the Laurence Olivier version.
Yeah, because that one's good too.
She said this was the closest thing to it. And she said if you ever get to see it, let me find it. And I think she went to Blockbuster. Now that's dating me by my age, but she said, let me go to Blockbuster and get this film. And so she did, and we watched it, and most of my classmates were all half asleep. I was on the edge of my seat the whole time. I was following along with every single line, and I loved it. I could not put it down out of my eyes.
Yeah. Well, and folks, for those of you who may not be familiar, this has a top-notch cast.
Yes.
And I'll say something else. For some of you that may not be aware, the gentleman who directed this, Kenneth Branagh, he does have roots in more geeky stuff. For those of you that might forget, Kenneth Branagh actually directed the first Thor movie, and I'll say it, I loved it. When the credits came up at the end, a Kenneth Branagh production, I'm like, the Hamlet guy directed Thor? No wonder I love this. And not to mention, he also played I'm sort of a minor character in the second Harry Potter movie, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. He played Gilderoy Lockhart. So, Mladen, good.
Please do. You will love it, honestly.
And Mladen, make sure if you see this cover, this is the one you want.
You want the one with Derek
Jacobi. You want Jacobi.
Yes.
And I'll just run through the cast real quick here, because you've got obviously Kenneth Branagh as Hamlet. You've got Julie Christie as Gertrude, his mother. You've got Billy Crystal as the grave digger. Gerard Depardieu, who played a emissary or ambassador from France. You had Charlton Heston. You had Derek Jacobi, who played Claudius, Hamlet's uncle. You had Jack Lemmon, who had a cameo at the beginning. You had Rufus Will. A lot of people know who he is. He's done a lot of good stuff throughout his career. Of course, you had Robin Williams at the very end, and you had Kate Winslet from, well, you all know what she's been in.
Almost everything.
Yeah, almost everything that's good ever. Period.
And this one is really worth seeing, honestly, because Robin Williams, you would not think of him as a Shakespearean actor, but for him to do this serious role was awesome.
Well, just speaking for myself, yes, I am a geek, but I'm a cultured geek. I love the sci-fi and the fantasy. And okay, I gotta show this off. I was telling Alicia about this before we started. I got this several years ago from Mother Ambassador. She went to a high school yard sale, and she got this. It is the complete annotated works of Shakespeare, including his sonnets, and she got it for $1.
That is awesome. I mean, honestly, I have one that I got similar from Barnes and Noble that has all of the Shakespeare writings. So yes.
Yeah. So, but yeah, jumping into the movie itself and everything, Alicia, where would you like to begin? I open the floor up to you.
The best place is soon after we meet Hamlet, when he makes when we hear Claudius tells him, "'Tis sweet and commendable in your nature, Hamlet, to give these morning duties to your father, but you must know your father lost a father. That father lost his, the survivor bound in filial obligation for some term."
But to persist in this griefism it's an offense towards heaven.
And that's from the very beginning. Basically, he's telling Hamlet, quit your crying, knock it off. I mean, he doesn't say it in that term.
No, but he's trying to be fatherly. He's trying to be compassionate because he does understand that that Hamlet is mourning the loss of the Hamlet is mourning the loss of his father. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, Claudius is saying, hey, bud, you're a man now. You're second in line to the crown.
Yeah, up, stop crying.
Yeah, man up. Quit. Dry your eyes. Take off all the black and put on something a little more festive. And of course, you got his mother Gertrude and everything. And I'll just say it, Julie Christie, she knocked it out of the park in this role. She did. She was as Gertrude.
Awesome. Dr. Zhivago and
how did I forget this? Go ahead, Alicia.
Anyway, to see her in Dr. Zhivago, she had almost like a fluffy role, almost not quite, but almost. Mm-hmm. It's almost fluffy in Dr. Zhivago the way she is as Laura. But when you see her as Gertrude, oh my word, it's just like she's got meat on her bones. She can do some talking that makes you go, "What just happened here?"
Yeah. Totally. But the other incredible thing about this film is the set design.
Yes.
I mean, oh my gosh. I mean, this is like, obviously this takes place in Denmark.
Yes.
There's something rotten in the state of Denmark. I'm just gonna say this. Can you think, okay, there are some, but can you think of another play that has been more quoted in other movies and other TV shows more than Hamlet? I mean, some of the lines
that comes second to it is Romeo and Juliet, but Hamlet is often one quoted so many times.
Yeah,
it's always learned by high schoolers. Always. Mm-hmm. If you're not in high school, you learn it in college. I learned it in college. I was so disappointed when I didn't get to learn it in high school. When they say you get to learn it in college, I was like geeking out, like, yes, this is the Shakespeare I wanted. And when I saw this film that Ambassador is discussing and I'm discussing, oh my God, it was like all my dreams came to life. This was the Shakespeare I wanted to see. This was not the public television one that you see that are just cheesy and corny. This was the one that you wanted to see, and you can see when you read the play. This is the one you can feel that it's like you're right there with Hamlet. You're right there with Claudius. You're right there with Gertrude. You're right there with Ophelia.
Yeah.
I'm looking at myself right now. And it was so exciting because it was like, this was the best. It brought Hollywood to Shakespeare and it married together perfectly. I wish they had done more.
Well, the thing is that this was a passion project for Kenneth Branagh, and he had done a lot of other film adaptations before he did Hamlet. If you remember, he did. I think Othello was before this. I'm pretty. No, Michelle Pfeiffer wasn't in Othello. That was the one with Lawrence. I'm thinking of the one with Lawrence Fishburne.
Okay.
Because Lawrence Fishburne played Othello and Kenneth Branagh actually played Iago. I loved him as Iago in that film of Othello. It was so darn good.
I think I did see that one. Was that the one I saw? I know I saw one, but it might have been that one.
Well, and several years before that, obviously Branagh had done Henry V, where he played Henry V.
Mm-hmm.
And this is all kind of building up, and he finally got a hold of a studio that would back him and everything to produce the production and everything. And they found a palace and everything, I think somewhere in Britain or somewhere, to film some of the exterior for the exterior shots.
Mm-hmm.
And I was going to bring this up. I cannot believe I forgot this. I should hang my head in geeker shame. But Brian Blessed actually played old Hamlet, both in the flashbacks and as the ghost. Because let's be candid, if Brian Blessed's in it, it's awesome. Because if you remember, he played Voltan in the 1980s Flash Gordon.
Yes.
So this had, in terms of pedigree for the cast, it had absolutely marvelous cast. You had some of the great old actors like John Gielgud, who played Priam and everything when Charlton Heston did his soliloquy about Priam and the wife and everything to Priam and everything. And of course, John Gielgud himself had done Hamlet years prior. I mean, John Gielgud was a huge stage actor. He had a great pedigree as a stage actor, and the fact that they got him to come back and have one cameo scene. But of course, you had Derek Jacobi, who several years before they did this production, he had played Hamlet.
Yes,
I think he might have played young Hamlet. I think John Gielgud might have actually played Claudius. So, and of course, you had Charlton Heston as the player king and everything, the leader of the traveling acting troupe, and you had Rosemary Harris and everything, who was also another member of the acting troupe, and of course, she played Aunt May. I think very well in the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies. So this movie is a veritable who's who of really good old school and at the time modern actors and actresses. I mean, I love this film. Everybody knows the story of Hamlet. Old Hamlet gets killed by his brother, and young Hamlet's like, something's not quite right here, because now my mom is married to my uncle, and you're like, he's like, this is wrong. This isn't appropriate. I don't like it. Mounds of Elysium. I'm actually going to read this. I'm going to read this. And honestly, this is one of my favorite quotes. And to the chat, Superior Hero Reviews. Good afternoon, sir. I know this is not this may not be what you're expecting, but I wanted to do something different today, not just because I hit 300 subscribers, but just because this has been something that I have been wanting to review and talk about. And Mounds of Elysium, thank you for putting this up here. What a piece of work is man. How noble in reason, how infinite in faculties, in form and moving, how express and admirable. In action, how like an angel. In apprehension, how like a god. So,
yes.
And that was actually spoken by Shakespeare to Horatio, his good friend. And I don't remember the name of the actor who played Horatio, but I think that actor, I think he did an absolute bang up job.
Yeah, I'm looking at it says Nicholas Farrell or whatever.
Yeah. For Horatio, that sounds about that. I think that might be right. And of course, go ahead, Alicia, please. I don't want to monopolize.
All I was thinking was like I said, most people think Hamlet and Shakespeare and Hollywood don't mesh together. They always assume Laurence Olivier. And like I said, most people assumed that was the only person that could really do it justice. But like I said, when you see this film, it's like I said, it's like you're seeing the play come to life. It's like you're seeing an actual real life Prince of Denmark. You're actually seeing, and it doesn't feel like it's 1600s. It actually feels like it's modern day in some ways. I don't know if it felt that way for you, Ambassador, but it felt like it was almost modern day without being modern day.
Well, yeah, for me, honestly, they were going for like a Napoleonic era setting for this, and honestly, it felt like this. And I think that was a really good move on the part of the production to do something, everything to set the play in that time period. Because honestly, Nobody Geek, and I can understand where you're coming from on that. And for a lot of people, Shakespeare oftentimes is very dense. He is very hard to follow. Maybe we need to do a watch party for this somewhere along the way.
Yes, please do it, Ambassador. Please, I will definitely sign up. And I'm sorry you can't understand the language, but the thing is, when you see the movie, if you see the movie, it's like you understand it. It's like
I think, but but yeah, for me, I thought the setting and like I think looking at the dress and the weaponry that's used, I would say this is right around 17 or 1800s, give or take,
Mm-hmm.
because they're still using the um the long rifles, the muskets and everything, like they used in
Right.
the American Revolution and throughout Europe and everything during that period. So I would say this is around 17 or 1800s. And I thought that was a great move because they set it in a time when Denmark is at war or preparing for war with Norway and
Mm-hmm.
Poland and so on. And I'll say this as well. I loved Rufus Sewell as Fortinbras. And truthfully,
Yes.
I never saw Fortinbras as a villain in this film. He was simply coming in to do to
Mm-hmm.
take his rightful claim, which I don't think was in error. Honestly, the true
Mm-hmm.
villain here obviously is Claudius. Claudius, and to a certain degree,
Mm-hmm.
Polonius were the villains. But
Right.
and of course, you had the conversation between Hamlet and Gertrude, and Polonius is eavesdropping, and he's like, "I'm slain," and it's almost just a little tinge of there's a little tinge of comedy to it because Hamlet thinks he thinks he's killed Claudius, and instead he's killed a perfectly innocent man. Even though
Yes.
Polonius was staying up his son Laertes and everything to make his reputation a little sullied and everything while he's in, I think it's in France or something, because of course you've got Gerard Depardieu and everything as the I don't want to use ambassador. I want to say he's a French emissary or some
Yes.
or envoy or
Mhm.
something like that. I think that's more accurate. But yeah, this. Yeah, I'm gonna say I fanboy about this movie anytime I watch it. I'm waiting for a day
Yes.
when they do an anniversary release in a theater because eventually theaters are going to reopen, and I would love. I mean, hell, I'd even be happy to go see this at a drive-in.
Yes. Yes.
I
Especially
wish.
when they have when they do the what they do, what is it, movies in the park kind of thing,
Yeah.
and do it like
Mhm.
it's sort of like and this would
Oh.
be do a whole thing of all the Shakespeare films that are the best ones to do,
Oh.
and that would be the top one to do. That would be the top one to do for
Yeah.
sure.
I wholeheartedly, Alicia. I wholeheartedly agree with you. I mean, I would kill for them to do like a Kenneth Branagh Shakespeare Film Festival and have Othello, have Henry V, and
Mm-hmm.
all of Kenneth Branagh's Shakespeare films that he has done. Just do them. I'll sit there for I don't care how many hours because this version is like what 2.5, 3 hours, give or take.
I think it's like 2.5 hours. Let me
Yeah.
see, how long is it? It's
Yeah, because here's the thing. This is the only film adaptation where they put every line of dialogue from the actual
Mhm.
stage play into the film. Every other version, except for maybe Olivier's, was adapted. This
Yes.
one, they did every line of dialogue, every major scene. Well, of course, no scene is a minor scene, but this was as close to a stage production that was put to film as you'll ever get to see. And the fact that they actually filmed this, I think, in 70 millimeter.
I think so.
Yeah, yeah. It's a 70 millimeter, and
Okay, so it's
that's
2.5 hours long. It was 2.5 hours
yeah.
long.
It's on and it's on 2 discs.
And it's well worth the 2 discs. It really is. Because like I
I'm
said,
waiting
when
for
you're watching it, it doesn't feel like it's that long. It really doesn't when you're watching it. And you
no.
hate to hit the stop button. You really do.
Yeah, but Alicia, anything you want to comment on anything in terms of the film itself, or just any
Well, like
thoughts
I
that you
said,
want to?
you wouldn't think of Robin Williams as a Shakespearean actor. Like I said, I didn't think of him as a Shakespearean actor. I did not. I always assumed that Robin Williams was just this comedic, funny guy that you had seen on Mork and Mindy, Hook. And when you hear him do Shakespeare, or when you hear these actors portray these Shakespearean actors, you really don't think of them as that actor. You really don't. you think of him as that character. I mean, like I was telling Ambassador before we got started, I literally did a comparison paper in school, in college, that same year, where we had to compare one piece of literature to another piece of literature. And I love Derek's adaptation of Claudius in this. And I compared him to this other character that's lesser known. But if you ever guys see it, August Wilson's Fences. The main character in that is the dad. And basically, Claudius and his character, those two characters were so eerily similar. Because one's a garbage collector, one is obviously this king. And it's just so mind-boggling that Derek does Claudius justice.
He really does.
He does not feel like at first. And then you slowly see him emerge into this villain. And then you realize, wait a minute, he is the villain. He did kill Hamlet's father. He is manipulating and brainwashing his wife, Gertrude, for his own purposes. He doesn't care about his nephew. He wants to take over Denmark and make people love him, but hate his own nephew / son.
Yeah. Well, and you know, the amazing thing is we don't really get an idea as to why Claudius killed old Hamlet. We just know that he did kill old Hamlet. And I think that was a great move in terms of Shakespeare and everything when he was writing this, because killing your own brother is bad enough.
Yes.
You really don't necessarily need more than that. And to try and dilute and try and say, well, he was power hungry, he was whatever. Obviously, he lusted after Gertrude, which was obviously appropriate because this was his brother's wife.
Right.
And obviously, not only is Claudius a murderer, he's an adulterer.
Yes.
Because he, even though Gertrude was manipulated, I will wholeheartedly agree with that. I don't think she was necessarily. There is nothing in the play to suggest that she was ever complicit in old Hamlet's death. Not to any degree.
That's why I think she's so horrified when we see the. I mean, spoiler alert! But at the very end, when she dies, just before she dies, you see the look of horror on her face, like, what just happened here? And Hamlet's like saying, "Come on, mother, stop playing dumb." And she's like, "No, I really didn't know." And then the look of horror on Hamlet's face was, "Wait a minute, my mother didn't really know. She didn't really know what happened." And he's just as shocked as the audience who's watching.
Yeah. Well, and you know, as someone who read the play in high school and reread it on my own, and then I can't remember. I think, let's see, it came out in 96. Yeah, I got to watch it in one of my literature classes my senior year of high school, and ever since then I had absolutely fallen in love with it. And when Blockbuster was still in business, at least once or twice a year I would rent this. And I'll share a little story. Anytime I grabbed Hamlet, my mom looked at me and she's like, "You've seen this?" I'm like, "I know, I love it." She's like, now my mother and everything, her only exposure to Shakespeare that she even remotely enjoyed was Macbeth. And she told me this story and everything when she was in high school and everything back in the 60s. She actually had to do an art project and everything that was related to Hamlet. So she actually did a painting of Lady Macbeth leaving the chamber after she has killed
Macduff.
Macduff, I think it is. And she told me that she had what's her face, Lady Macbeth in silhouette, but her hands were like just drenched in like blood and everything, and she used a lot of red paint for the hands and the dagger especially.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I wish my mom still had that. I wish she still had that pain, but unfortunately she doesn't.
Oh,
But but yeah, she's like, okay, you want to get it. She's like, but you're gonna watch it on your own. I was like, that's fine. I was like, I understand you don't. She's like, my mother was a very, I don't want to say simple as in dumb, but she was a simple country woman, and everything,
yeah.
a young woman, and
Mm-hmm.
didn't really get into all this stuff, but she appreciated that I had a love for it. And
Mm-hmm.
this movie really, for me, I mean, it hit just at the right time. It hit me when I was in high school. I had a really good literature teacher at the time. I actually had several throughout high school and everything who really gave me a passion and appreciation for literature of all types.
Mm-hmm.
And this film really cemented my love for Shakespeare. I
Yes.
mean, I mean, for heaven's sakes, as I've shown already, I got this mother because my mother fed my geek vibe.
And that's an awesome thing to have. Honest to God. I mean, like I said, because
Yeah.
I'm reading over these lines and they are so
Well,
magical. That's all I can say is they're magical. The lines are just they're
yes.
just so done, so right. Because
Well,
most of the time when you hear people that do Shakespeare movies, they just do it so dry. That's not what I can put it. It's
yeah.
just dry and it's lifeless. But this one,
And
it didn't
that's,
feel dry. It felt like they were actually talking modern English without being modern English.
yeah. I mean, you realize they're reading the Shakespearean text. And I think that's kind of accurate because Shakespeare has style almost all his own in a lot of ways. And for the actors and actresses that were in this production, and an interesting fact, I don't know if everybody knows this, but actually, because Kenneth Branagh had to do work behind the camera, he actually had an acting double. And he would take cues from when he was like setting up shots and everything, and he would take acting cues from his acting double. And he would talk with his acting double and say, "What were you thinking? What were you feeling when you were doing these lines?" And the guy was actually a really good stage actor and everything who had worked on a number of Shakespearean productions. And the guy would say, "This is what I had, and this is how I was feeling, what I was going through in my mind as I was working through the dialogue." And I
Mm-hmm.
mean, if you think about this, this is one of the most soliloquy heavy plays of Shakespeare's plays. I
Yes.
think the only one that's even remotely heavier, and this is not me bragging or anything, is the Tempest.
Yeah.
Uh,
I think this is the
because
only one that as well that's I think has 5 acts. And the thing is, it doesn't feel like
um, no, it really doesn't. If I remember correctly, um, the Tempest was, I think, 3 or maybe 4 acts,
mm-hmm.
but it felt so much longer. And for those of you that may not have caught this when we started and everything a little while ago, I actually had the opportunity to be in that production of The Tempest and everything when I was in college. And I played the character of Caliban. And I'll tell you, some of his soliloquies, whew, I
Yeah.
went over them and over them and over them again. And when you're acting off of other people and everything else, and also one of these days I'll share pictures of me from that production and everything because they did a really good job making me up as Caliban. I won't lie. I mean,
Okay.
it's a small. It was a small drama club and everything, and we had decent funding, but they did a really good job making me up. And of course, I had to be barefoot because, well, Caliban was barefooted, and
Yeah.
I wear size 15 shoes. Being barefoot on stage, once we were done, I was like, "Oh God, my feet are killing me." So
But no, that's the thing that's so special about this thing that, like we're
mhm.
saying, I mean, this one, I mean, it's most people don't geek out over Shakespeare because people view Shakespeare as old, is outdated, and
Mhm.
they think, oh, it's so blah. And like I said, I'm one of the few females I think that's out there that absolutely adores Shakespeare. And like I said, when we would do them in school, most everybody didn't know how to quote it properly.
Mhm.
And I didn't want to. This one, honestly, Shakespeare, bless his heart, he wrote a lot of sexist lines. All the female roles, honestly, are just so. Mm. But the thing is,
Yeah.
Hamlet is the misunderstood hero you want to root for. You want to read his line. You want to get into his head to find out what's he thinking. Why is he saying these things? Like when he's saying the famous soliloquy that he says, "To be or not to be." You really, really want to say those lines because it's so powerful. And you're wondering,
Mhm.
why is he saying this thing? What's going on in his head? Why is
Mhm.
he thinking his mother's this villainous that she really is not technically? But to find out that is he really just losing his mind over this ghost? I mean, the movie does it so much justice because these lame, honestly, I will just say lame, they are lame. These lame public television productions of Hamlet do not do the ghost scenes justice.
No, and this is one of the few times where the ghost scenes are done well. And not to mention, you had like I've already mentioned, you have Brian Blessed as old Hamlet, you have him as Hamlet's ghost, and he did such a good job. I mean, they did a really good job on doing his costuming and the
Mm-hmm.
makeup and everything. And you have that scene at the very beginning of the movie where they pan from the statue of old Hamlet in his armor, and then they pan down to the hand that's grasping the hilt of his sword, and the sword hilt actually goes. You're like, oh crap, business is
Yeah, did I just see what I
something
just thought I saw?
something
Yeah.
hinky's about to happen. And then of course you have Jack Lemmon at the very beginning. You would never consider Jack Lemmon um a Shakespearean actor of any degree, but
No,
he has like two scenes in the whole film, but he does such a good job.
he does, but he feels like he's in it so much longer too.
Yeah.
Because every single actor that's in this one, even if they're on there for just like 5 minutes, every single scene they're in it, you feel like they're in it so much longer. Like I said, this
Mhm.
is one movie you don't want to punt down because you watch it from the beginning and it's like you're transported to Denmark. I don't
Well,
know how it takes you to Denmark, literally, right there on the
well,
screen.
yeah. Well, the amazing thing is they filmed outside of I forget the name of the castle because it was an actual castle that they used for the exteriors and everything and some of the exterior outdoor shots.
Mm-hmm.
But the interior is all stage and
Yes.
everything. But the really cool thing about this, and you may not, Alicia, I don't know if you know this or not, that's not real snow
No,
on the
it's
ground.
not.
Yeah, it's fake snow because unfortunately they hadn't had a really good snow. They did have some snow, but they didn't have enough to really set the tone for the cold and the very severe cold that you would see in Norway, or not
Mm-hmm.
Norway, but Denmark.
Yeah,
And
Denmark.
Milan, you're killing me.
I want to
Oh,
this one. I love this
go
one.
ahead,
To
Alicia.
be or
Go
not,
ahead.
that is the
I
quote. What is nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against a sea of troubles? Thank you. I love that line. It's so powerful.
well, okay. One of my favorite scenes from the film, and it's not even one that you would really consider, is actually the play that's put on by the acting troupe when young Hamlet is trying to see if Claudius is going to act guilty during the play because they've inserted dialogue into the play and
Mm-hmm.
everything to make him to get some sort of reaction out of him.
Yes, he's trying to
And
trick. Yes.
yeah, and I love Gertrude's response and everything when Hamlet asks her, "What? How do you mark this play, madam? The lay doth protest too much, methinks."
Yes.
If you that has got to be one of the most eloquent burns I've ever heard in my life.
And it's always misquoted. They misquote it too often.
Yeah, the lay doth protest too much, methinks.
Yes.
In other words, this woman's griping too much.
Like, shut up, lady.
And of course, Hamlet says, "Oh, but she'll keep her word."
Mm-hmm.
Unlike you, Mom, who married your brother's, you married your husband's brother, your late husband's brother.
Mm-hmm.
He's almost on the verge of saying, "Mom, you big skank."
Right, exactly. And the thing is, he turns and he doesn't realize that she has drank the poison and everything like that. And he's horrified. She goes, "No, no, the drink, the drink. Oh, my dear Hamlet, the drink, the drink. I am poisoned. Oh, the villainy. Oh, let the door be locked. Treachery, seek it out."
If you seek treachery, it is right there.
It's right there in front of you. Don't you see it? It's right there in front of you. And then the crowd, because most of these Shakespeare plays, they don't show the crowds. You normally
But
have
this time they do.
This one, they actually show the crowd. And I love the fact that they do that. They make them actual characters that are watching this with you. And you're like, oh, that's awesome. I wish more people could do that.
And very briefly to the chat, Purple Valkyrie, Purple Lady. Greetings, madam. Good to see you, and thank you very much. Purple, I did actually put the link to the stream and everything in Loki's Discord if you wanted to come in. If you're just passing through, that's fine too. But it is there if you want to make use of it. So, but yeah, honestly, this, I feel like for the length of the stream, we've been gushing about this, but honestly, it's Shakespeare. It's classic. It's timeless. It's beautiful, and you just, there's no way you can. Some people may say Shakespeare is not above critique, and I'm thinking, yeah, if you want to be a neg, if you want to be a negative, Shakespeare was misogynist. No, he wasn't. Shakespeare is a morphobe. No, he wasn't.
Oh, I know why I love this so much too, Ambassador. Because I just looked over, I found a picture of the textbook that I had when I was in college.
Mm-hmm.
Sir Derek
Derek Jacobi.
He actually performs on the CD of that with the book. The book has a book, and then there's a CD, and there's actual CD performances of like Laurence Olivier and as well as Derek himself and so many others reading these classic lines. And that's one reason why I think I loved it so much. And then to see him on the screen as Claudius, it's like, wow.
Yeah. And I'll say this. I don't grow beards. But if I was ever going to grow a beard, I would want to grow Derek Jacobi's beard as Claudius. Because it's just Brian Blessed's was too bushy. And no, there's nothing wrong with Kenneth Branagh's beard, but there's something about Jared Jacobi's beard and everything when he's playing Claudius in this, and it's perfect. It's a perfect beard. It's almost as good a beard as Val Kilmer's and everything, although it's not a full beard. It's a mustache and a goatee when he plays Doc Holliday.
Or it's sort of like the one that did it in the Three Musketeers film, The Man of the Iron Mask.
Oh my gosh, I love that movie.
Especially the Leo version is so good.
Where's that picture? You love it.
We have to watch that sometime too, Ambassador. But I love that movie. But the thing is, when I first saw this movie, can you put the picture back on your avatar of Hamlet playing Hamlet?
Yeah, absolutely.
When you see this picture now, guys, the first time I saw this on the screen, I thought this was Steve Martin. And I was thinking, what the heck? Steve Martin and Hamlet? But when you start watching it, you realize this is not Steve Martin. This is no way this could be Steve Martin. This is no way this could be Steve Martin. He's so much better than Steve Martin. And I don't think he's a very well-known actor, but the way he does Hamlet is so good.
Yes. Yeah, Branagh really, like I was saying earlier, for him, this is a passion project. This is him capping off his run of Shakespeare film adaptations. Because after this, I don't think he did anymore. Honestly, I think this
I
was
don't
like
think he did. I really don't.
he was like, I've done the one I always wanted to do. I'm stopping here. I'm not going any further. So, but honestly, yeah, and just to give kudos to Kenneth Branagh, not just not for his performance, but his ability as a director to have the ambition and the vision and the passion to bring this great piece of I won't say American literature because it's not American, but this great piece of literature to life and do it the justice that it has always deserved. I mean, because if you really consider every line of dialogue is delivered with punch and power and pathos, and the actors and actresses. Oop, I lost Alicia. What the heck? I didn't even remove her. Shucks. Okay, I'm sure she'll be back in a minute. But if you consider that, there she is. All right, here we go. Welcome back.
There we go. Okay. Whew.
But yeah, honestly, as I was saying, this is by far the most faithful adaptation of this work we will ever get.
Yes.
Ever. I'm sorry, Ethan Hawke's version. Sorry, good effort, but no. Mel Gibson should hang his head in shame.
Honestly, you should get the Men in Black memory wipe stick and just use it right now.
Neuralize that sucker out of existence. If there's any movie that, okay, I can't believe I'm saying this, but if there's any movie that needs to be erased, it's Mel Gibson. It's Mel Gibson's Hamlet. That thing sucks.
Yes, agreed. Yes. No. But it looks like Kenneth Branagh still does act, but it's mostly all in Ireland and everything. So okay.
Oh, hey, Mladen, thank you for bringing that up. I also didn't know that. Kenneth Branagh directed and played Shakespeare in All Is True 2018. I'll have to look that up. Yeah, I'll have to look that up. Thank you, Mladen. Appreciate it. So, but
okay, I have seen one of his acting, but I didn't realize he didn't really act, and it was okay. Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. That's a lesser known one, but
really, I've heard that's actually a very good adaptation of the Frankenstein.
Let me see. Is this one? I think that it is. Yes, I did see this one. If you ever get to see it, Ambassador, you should see it. That one is so much like the book, and it goes into a lot more detail. There's a little bit of adult scenes in it. I'll say this much.
Yeah, I figured.
But other than that, it's a very good film. It really is. It feels like you're actually reading the book without reading the book. It's really awesome.
Well, if I remember correctly, doesn't Robert De Niro play the monster in that version?
Yes, but like I said, he's really good in that. He's really good in that. He's really. I know we don't like Robert De Niro that well, but when he's in that one, he's just wow.
When it comes to De Niro's social and political perspectives, I tune him out entirely. When it comes to him as an actor, I love him as an actor.
Yes.
Although he's done some movies in the last few years, I've been like, come on, Robert, you're better than this.
Yeah.
Seriously, you could Bad Grandpa or Dirty Grandpa or something like that. Seriously, you're better than that, man. But yeah, honestly, folks, if you haven't figured it out already, go see this movie. Go rent it. Go buy it. Go rent it. Go buy it. Go enjoy an evening of culture in the privacy of your own home. Go find this movie. I'm pretty sure it's on Amazon and everything.
You should. It's worth it. It's worth it. It's well worth it. It's worth every penny.
I won't say get a Coke and popcorn. I'll say
no.
Get some tea and scones and watch this puppy. It's
Or
my friend.
just watch it. Just watch it without anything. You'll be so sucked into the story, you
Yeah,
won't even think about food. You won't think about food, honestly.
that's
You
true.
really won't.
That's very true. Yeah,
Because
that's
when I
very
saw
true.
it, I didn't even once think about food. It wasn't until afterwards I said, "Oh yeah, I am kind of hungry."
I know, because you're sucked into it. You're like, dang, my mouth is dry. So
And my stomach's kind of rumbling. Wait a minute, I've been sitting here for
yeah,
nearly 3 hours watching this. What the? What happened to
mhm.
me? But I
Yeah,
love
exactly.
it's worth it, honestly, guys. I just Shakespeare. This is the Shakespeare you wanted to see as a kid. This was the Shakespeare you should have read as a kid because it's so well done. Honestly, it's well worth every single second from beginning to end.
Here, here. So, all right. Well, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap up here because I think we've given this movie more than it's due and everything. And
Yes.
I want to thank Alicia Victoria Parker. Alicia, thank you for coming and congratulations. We
Thank
popped
you
your.
so much for having me. I
You're
loved it.
welcome.
I hope you
Congratulations.
come back again because this was so much fun talking
Yes.
about one of my favorite Shakespeare. You know, someone else loves it too. It makes me feel good knowing there's other people out there that can relate to what I'm talking about. So yes, this is the best Shakespeare ever.
Yeah. And just quick to the chat, Nobody Geek. Yeah, I got your message and everything. Perfectly fine. We can talk about everything and reschedule and everything. Do it another night. I completely understand. And congratulations to Madam Geek and everything on getting her rating and everything. So very happy to hear that. So, but yeah, folks, thank you all for tuning in this afternoon. As always, I greatly appreciate all of you for being here. I hope you enjoyed the discussion. For those of you that'll catch us on the replay, I also hope that you will find this entertaining. And make sure you go subscribe to this wonderful lady over here, Alicia Victoria Parker. And I think she's got a great channel. She's getting near 1K. So if you haven't subscribed already, do so. Alicia, before we close out, is there anything you'd like to plug for your channel before we go?
Basically, my channel is just very uniquely my own. I do a lot of different things on it. So if you guys want to check it out, please do. I do a lot of fun stuff on there. I do gaming. I do live streams like Ambassador was on it last night. We did a lot of fun stuff. We did Cards Against Humanity, which was a lot of fun.
Yes,
It was so much fun. But like I said, my channel is just whatever I want to do. So if you guys want to check it out, please do. Or if you want to just check me out and see, I'm in the social media world. I'm a fan of many different things. I would just say that.
You can all find Alicia on Twitter. We follow one another. We do talk back and forth. So, but as for me, folks, we'll be back Wednesday with my friends at Dega Outlaw and Mountains of Elysium. We'll be continuing our discussion of Babylon 5 Season 1. And that'll be at the normal time. That'll be at noon Central Time and everything. And then I might be flipping things around a little bit and everything for this weekend and everything. I'm waiting to talk with Madam Ambassador about that. But this Friday night, and I will have a Friday afternoon stream of Friday Afternoons with the Ambassador this Friday afternoon. But Friday night, going to be doing something a little special. And I didn't really plan it this way, but this is actually kind of appropriate considering I have to hit 300 subscribers. This Friday night at 7:30 Central Time, we're going to have a watch party. We're going to be watching a great quintessential 80s film, Ferris Bueller's Day Off. So be sure to tune in for that. And if any of you want to be a part of that panel for that stream, you know how to get a hold of me. By all means, all are welcome. So, folks, you have a great day. I will talk to y'all later. And until next time, this is the Ambassadors signing off.